Beyond the endless snowfields of the northern world stood a city carved entirely from ice, silent and radiant beneath the pale sun. Few knew that behind its frozen walls lay secrets older than the sect that guarded them, secrets powerful enough to shake even a nascent soul cultivator. If you enjoy my way of explaining and storytelling, please consider supporting us through the donation. It really motivates us to keep creating. Those people are your companions, Hanley asked as he examined the medallion in his hand before putting it away in a flash of azure light. After casting a quick glance at the group behind him, Gu Tianqi replied with a hint of concern. These fellow Taoists are recent acquaintances of mine. We decided to travel together since we all intend to enter the North Night Palace. Is there something wrong? Hanley's gaze settled on a young, beautiful woman among them, and a cold smile slowly crept onto his lips. Indeed, he said calmly, there is someone among you who doesn't quite belong. What? Gu Tianqi exclaimed in surprise. Hanley smirked faintly. There is a demon hiding in your group. Don't you find that rather unusual? A demon. Gu Tianqi's expression changed drastically as he hurriedly turned toward the female cultivator. The other cultivators were instantly alarmed and instinctively stepped away from her. The woman's eyes widened in shock, her heart skipping a beat. She quickly protested, Senior must be joking. I am a disciple of the Ning clan from the Shuang region. How could I possibly be a demon? Seeing the woman's stunned expression, the young man who had spoken earlier hurriedly added while the others hesitated uncertainly. That's right, Senior. Could there be some mistake? Fellow Taoist Ning truly is a member of the Ning clan. I've encountered her several times before. Hanley merely snorted dismissively. A trifling soul fragment dares to feign ignorance before me. Reveal yourself. As the words left his mouth, Han Li stretched out a hand. Light flickered above the woman's head as a massive azure hand suddenly materialized, reaching down to seize her. The instant the hand appeared, the shocked woman's body trembled. The look of panic on her face vanished, replaced by a vicious resentment. In the next moment, her figure blurred and shot 60 meters straight into the air. Such speed was far beyond that of a chi condensation cultivator indeed. Even most core formation cultivators could not have achieved it. Hanley only smirked. With a flick of his sleeve, a streak of yellow light shot out and vanished. In the next instant, it reappeared above the woman's head, revealing itself as a monk's staff, barely a foot tall. Hanley formed a spell seal toward the treasure. The staff blurred and rapidly expanded, transforming into a towering 10-meter-tall phantom tiger that lunged ferociously toward her. The young woman had no time to react. She hastily spewed out a cloud of black demonic qi in an attempt to block the attack. A thunderous explosion erupted. Yellow light flared as the black qi was torn apart without the slightest resistance. The monk's staff slammed down upon the woman's head. She let out a shrill scream as her body was sent tumbling through the air. At the same time, a black silhouette burst forth from within her body, circling briefly in the sky before darting downward. But a rumble of thunder sounded overhead. A net woven from golden lightning suddenly appeared above the fleeing figure. Before it could react, the lightning net dropped down and enveloped it. Crackling explosions rang out in rapid succession. Moments later, the black demon had been completely obliterated. The entire exchange had taken place in the blink of an eye, leaving the chi condensation cultivators utterly dumbstruck. Hanley casually waved his hand. The monk's staff trembled, shrank back to its original size, and flew into his sleeve. Once that was done, Hanley tossed a small blue bottle toward Gu Tianqi. The middle-aged man instinctively caught it. The medicine pills inside should help you pass the first trial, Han Li said calmly. Consider it payment for the soul-stabilizing medallion. With that azure light surged around him as he shot into the sky, vanishing from sight in the blink of an eye. When Gu Tianqi finally recovered from his stupor, he stared at the bottle in his hand with pleasant surprise and tightly grasped it. At that moment, the nearby cultivators cried out in alarm. The young woman who had fallen earlier was waking up. It seemed that Han Li's monk staff had left no injuries on her body at all. Easy. With the medallion in hand, Han Li continued flying toward the North Night Palace, a faint smile playing on his lips as he recalled the events from earlier. The lingering soul fragment of a high-grade demon beast had been hiding within the young woman's body. Judging by its strength, it must have belonged to at least an 8th-grade demon beast. The creature had been remarkably cunning to conceal its soul fragment within the woman without her even realizing it. Had she truly managed to enter the sect, the demon might have slipped inside undetected by using her body as a vessel. Since Han Li had discovered the matter by chance, he had simply eradicated the fragment. It had required little effort and would spare the sect from any unnecessary trouble during his visit. Could that demon beast be attempting to infiltrate the sect through such a clever method in order to obtain the glacial quintessence? After all, he had heard that the North Night Palace had never revealed any information regarding the disappearance of its glacial quintessence. There must have been a reason they kept the matter hidden. Lost in thought, Han Li flew onward as swift as a bolt of lightning. Before long, he found himself within a raging storm of fist-sized hail. The hailstones sparkled like crystal, translucent and cold as they pelted against his protective light barrier with dull thuds as though they were stones. Yet with Han Li's current cultivation, such a storm was hardly worth his attention. After flying for another hour, Han Li's eyes lit up as the hail and snow suddenly vanished. Ahead of him stood a city carved entirely from ice. From a distance, the buildings shimmered brilliantly, refracting the sunlight into dazzling rainbows. Several patches of white cloud drifted lazily around the city, sparkling faintly in the light. A trace of amazement appeared on Han Li's face, but his gaze soon shifted to the enormous mountain rising behind the city. By mortal standards, the mountain was colossal, its height reaching at least 30,000 meters. Yet compared to Kunwu Mountain, it was still modest. What truly astonished Han Li, however, was its shape. The mountain resembled an immense pillar that thrust straight into the heavens, its surface covered in a profoundly deep layer of shimmering frost. If not for the occasional traces of green vegetation clinging to its slopes, he might have believed the entire mountain to be carved from solid ice. Even with his bright sight spirit eyes, Han Li was unable to see through the mountain itself. However, he could make out a cluster of glittering buildings atop its peak, the place he believed to be the North Night Palace. Han Li did not immediately approach the city, though the area along the way appeared to consist only of ordinary glaciers. An invisible restriction lay hidden among them. As a master of spell formations, Han Li could sense the terrifying power contained within those unseen barriers. Had he rashly charged forward, he might have triggered something troublesome. Moreover, the moment he emerged from the snowstorm, several streaks of light shot out from the city to meet him. Han Li raised an eyebrow. A thought crossed his mind as he glanced at the medallion in his hand. The medallion not only guided its bearer toward the palace, but also allowed the North Night Palace to track the whereabouts of those seeking entry. Just as this realization formed, the streaks of light arrived before him. They revealed a middle-aged man with refined features and two women clad in white robes. The man possessed core formation cultivation, while the two women were at the foundation establishment stage. When the man took a closer look at Han Li, a flicker of alarm appeared on his face. He hurriedly bowed. "This junior is Shi Yun, a steward of the Outer Palace. May I ask for Senior's esteemed name and the purpose of your visit?" When these cultivators had seen Han Li emerge from the snowstorm, they already knew he was no ordinary cultivator. Yet they had not expected him to be a nascent soul cultivator, let alone a mid-stage one whom they did not recognize. Their nerves were understandably tense. Han Li replied calmly, "There is no need for you to know my name. I have only come here to visit a friend, one of your sect's elders." Upon hearing this, Shi Yun visibly relaxed and spoke in a more cordial tone. "May I ask which elder senior intends to visit? I will immediately send word." Han Li answered slowly, "I met Fairy Bai Yaoyi several years ago. Is she currently present?" "Martial Aunt Bai," Shi Yun said with surprise. "She is indeed within the sect, though I believe she is presently in seclusion. I will send her a voice transmission talisman right away. Please wait a moment." Relief was evident on Xu Yun's face as he quickly sent the talisman. For the time being, Han Li remained where he was, his eyes wandering as he quietly admired the surrounding scenery. Shi Yin blinked as if considering saying something further, but before he could speak, a streak of scarlet light suddenly burst out of the snowstorm roughly 400 meters behind them. A sharp cry rang out from within the light as it swiftly changed direction and flew toward them. Before the streak even arrived, a hearty laugh echoed through the air. "So this fellow Taoist has come to visit our palace. May I ask for your name?" As the light faded, it revealed a pale youth with a head of grey hair. His eyes held a deep and unfathomable intensity. Han Li narrowed his eyes slightly as he studied the newcomer. A sweep of his spiritual sense confirmed that the man was also a mid-stage nascent soul cultivator. Before Han Li could respond, Shi Yun happily stepped forward and respectfully saluted. "This disciple respectfully greets Martial Uncle Bai. Was your journey peaceful?" The 100-meter tall wall of ice encircling the city was not particularly impressive in height, yet its translucent, glittering surface possessed a mesmerizing beauty. What truly caught the eye, however, was its flawless smoothness. The wall appeared as though it had been carved from a single massive blade of ice, perfectly seamless, with not the slightest trace of bricks or joints anywhere upon its surface. At the city gate, a dozen white-robed cultivators stood guard. Among them, the highest cultivation was merely at the foundation establishment stage. More striking, however, were several white apes crouching among the guards. Their long fur was the color of fresh snow, and a pair of menacing green eyes gleamed beneath their brows. These apes were spirit beasts, long adapted to the frozen wilderness. Although their cultivation levels were not particularly high, they were remarkably intelligent and easy to tame. Because of this, many cultivators of the northern regions kept them as companions. Yet the apes stationed upon the wall were somewhat unusual. Their bodies were several times larger than that of ordinary snow apes, and the demonic qi radiating from them revealed that they were rank 4 and rank 5 demon beasts, roughly equivalent in strength to foundation establishment cultivators. This detail immediately drew Han Li's attention. As the foremost sect in the northern regions, the North Night Palace must possess some unique method for nurturing these apes. When the cultivators stationed along the wall saw the pale youth with the head of grey hair approach, they hurriedly saluted him, repeatedly addressing him as Martial Ancestor Ren. Elder Ren merely grunted in acknowledgement before striding confidently through the city gate. When the guards saw Han Li following behind their martial ancestor, none of them dared to question him. But the moment Han Li stepped across the gate, the snow apes suddenly behaved strangely. The spirit beasts whimpered softly and began backing away from him in visible panic. Startled by their reaction, the North Night Palace cultivators immediately scolded the beasts, but the apes only became more frightened. They dropped flat onto their chests, covering the backs of their heads with their arms as if submitting in complete terror before Han Li. When Elder Ren saw this, he let out a surprised yelp and shot Han Li a curious glance. "Do you happen to keep a high-grade ape-type spirit beast?" he asked with interest. These apes may not be particularly strong, but their senses are extraordinarily sharp. Upon hearing this, Han Li immediately realized that the snow apes had sensed the presence of the weeping soul beast hidden on him and were reacting out of instinctive fear. He replied indifferently, "I do keep one, but it isn't particularly powerful. I rarely make use of it." Elder Ren merely smiled and did not pursue the matter further as the two of them entered the City of Ice. The main road stretched directly from the city gate into the depths of the city and was exceptionally wide. Its surface was paved with a perfectly smooth layer of ice that gleamed faintly beneath the light. In the distance, a few figures could be seen walking along the road. They were all low-grade cultivators, dressed in yellow and white robes. Buildings lined both sides of the street in neat, orderly rows. Rather than resembling a city, however, the place felt far more like a heavily fortified stronghold. Before Han Li could study the surroundings any further, Elder Ren suddenly rose into the air and flew at a low altitude toward the enormous mountain behind the city. A trace of surprise flickered across Han Li's face, but he silently followed after him. A short while later, the two of them landed upon a platform located halfway up the mountain. Elder Ren turned toward Han Li with a warm smile and explained, "From this point onward, Brother Han will have to proceed on foot with me. The upper portion of the mountain lies within the boundaries of the inner palace. Even though I am an elder there, I must still abide by the sect's rules." Han Li nodded in acknowledgement, and the two of them slowly began ascending a flight of translucent stairs carved entirely from ice. Only a small number of disciples were permitted to enter the inner palace, yet the few individuals they encountered along the way all respectfully saluted the pale youth. Moreover, Elder Ren treated these disciples with unusual warmth. Regardless of their cultivation level, he greeted each of them with a gentle smile. Han Li quickly noticed that the cultivators of the inner palace all possessed extraordinary aptitudes. Along the path, he also sensed 4 formidable spell restrictions hidden within the surroundings, each one powerful enough to send a chill down his spine. It seemed the sect possessed a truly ingenious grandmaster of spell formations. This realization immediately piqued Han Li's interest. If the opportunity arose, he would certainly like to exchange insights on formations with this mysterious expert. While these thoughts drifted through his mind, he followed the pale youth along a more secluded path. At the end of the trail, they came to a halt before an enormous wall of ice nearly a kilometer tall. Han Li raised an eyebrow as he gazed at it with faint astonishment. Elder Ren lifted his hand and released a jade tile that glowed with soft green light. A swirl of silver mist emerged from the tile, wrapping around it before drifting forward and phasing directly into the ice wall. A moment later, the massive wall trembled silently. Then a narrow opening slowly split down its center, revealing a passage roughly 6 meters wide. Elder Ren shook his head slightly as he explained, "The buildings at the top of the mountain are merely for show. In truth, they serve as residences for the inner sect's lower-grade cultivators. The higher-ranking disciples reside within the hidden Arctic dragon border, the true location of our palace. If you were not a good friend of Junior Marshal Sister Bai, I would not have dared bring you here." Han Li responded with a polite smile, though inwardly he remained indifferent. This so-called hidden Arctic dragon border was already widely known throughout the northern regions. It could hardly be considered a secret. Otherwise, why would Elder Ren bring him here so readily? Or why would Bai Yaoyi have mentioned the place to him before? More puzzling was the fact that this man was making such an effort to befriend him, despite their having met for the very first time. The thought made Han Li slightly wary, and he began regarding Elder Ren with greater caution. Nevertheless, when the passage opened before him, he did not hesitate. Walking shoulder to shoulder with Elder Ren, he stepped inside. The passage itself was only about 3 meters long. Yet the moment Han Li reached the other end, a look of unmistakable shock flashed across his face. Before him lay a verdant valley bursting with life. Warm sunlight poured down from above, illuminating a landscape filled with lush greenery and rare plants seldom seen in the outside world. The valley stretched for several kilometers, enclosed on all sides by towering emerald-colored cliffs. Along the mountain walls stood numerous jade buildings, their exquisite craftsmanship radiating elegance and refinement. At the very center of the valley stood 3 magnificent halls carved entirely from white jade, occupying nearly a third of the entire valley. Han Li's expression shifted slightly as his gaze swept across them. Yet despite the calm look on his face, his heart was filled with deep astonishment. Heaven Void Hall. The name echoed through Han Li's mind as a spark of realization flashed across his thoughts. The 3 jade palace halls before him shared an identical style with the legendary Heaven Void Hall of the Scattered, Star Sea. Each structure appeared to have been carved from a single massive block of fine jade, its surface radiating a faint yet exquisite glow. However, these halls were only about 1/3 the size of the Heaven Void Hall he had once seen floating majestically in the sky. Han Li forcibly suppressed the surprise rising within him and examined them more carefully. After a long moment, he confirmed his initial impression. There was no doubt that these three buildings were somehow related to Heaven Void Hall, yet the gates of the halls stood open and bare, with no plaques or signs hanging above them. Raising an eyebrow, Han Li asked casually, "So this is the sect's inner palace? The spiritual qi here is indeed abundant, just as one would expect. But these three great halls appear rather ancient. What is their history?" Elder Ren glanced toward the three jade structures and replied, "You're referring to the Spirit Void Halls. These buildings were already here long before the sect itself was founded. It is said that the sect ancestor, together with several close friends, used their immense abilities to relocate them here. They are even more marvelous when viewed from the inside. The Spirit Void Halls." Han Li repeated, a strange glimmer appearing in his eyes. Elder Ren smiled mysteriously. "Do they interest you, Brother Han? Aside from major sect affairs, these halls remain sealed at all times. Only when more than half of the sect elders approve will the Spirit Void Halls be opened. As for the reason," he paused briefly before shaking his head, "that is not something I can disclose." Han Li merely smiled and refrained from asking further questions. Attempting to probe too deeply into the secrets of another sect could easily lead to unnecessary trouble. Besides, even if these three halls truly had some connection to Heaven Void Hall, it had little to do with him. After all, the most important treasure of Heaven Void Hall was already in his possession. "Fellow Taoist Han, please follow me," Elder Ren said. "The Pure Focus Pavilion lies over there. Since it appears that Junior Marshal Sister Bai holds you in high regard, I will bring you to the place where she receives her closest guests. It is a rather tranquil location." "Is that so? Then I am honored," Han Li replied with a faint smile. Elder Ren smiled in return and rose into the air, leading Han Li toward one of the mountain walls before descending in front of a pavilion. The building rose 3 stories high, each floor towering over 30 meters tall. Its structure was made of emerald-colored wood and was partially embedded into the mountainside. Above the entrance hung a yellow signboard, upon which the words "Pure Focus Pavilion" were engraved in elegant silver lettering. As Han Li stepped toward the pavilion, a white-robed woman emerged from inside. Upon seeing the two of them, she paused briefly in surprise before respectfully bowing. "I pay my respects to Marshal Senior Ren, and this must be Senior Han." "That's correct," Han Li replied calmly. "Is Fairy Bai inside?" The beautiful woman stepped slightly aside and faced Han Li. "Master has just emerged from her seclusion and is currently stabilizing her magic power inside the pavilion," she explained. "She has sent me here to welcome you, Senior Han. I hope you will not take offense." Then she turned to Elder Ren with a slightly awkward smile. "Marshal Senior Ren, you are placing me in a difficult position. You should know that Master has already instructed me that she does not wish to see you. The last time Junior Marshal Sister Gong allowed you to meet her, she was severely punished afterward." Elder Ren flushed slightly but quickly recovered, shifting his gaze. "But this time is different," he said. "I am accompanying Brother Han. Surely she would not refuse to see me if I arrived together with him." Upon hearing this, Han Li merely smirked faintly and remained silent. "This—" The woman hesitated, clearly uncertain. At that moment, Bai Yaoyi's voice suddenly drifted out from within the pavilion. "Yana, let your Marshal Senior Ren come in. I will see him." "As you command." The woman's tense expression immediately relaxed and she stepped further aside. "Marshal Senior Ren, please come in." The moment Elder Ren heard Bai Yaoyi's voice, his face lit up with unmistakable joy. A trace of excitement flickered across his features. His lips moved slightly as he immediately sent a voice transmission toward Bai Yaoyi inside the pavilion. From within, Bai Yaoyi's voice rang out once more. "Senior Marshal Brother Renbi, why not wait until you come inside before speaking? Why are you sending messages while fellow Taoist Han is still standing outside? Do you intend to make us appear discourteous?" Han Li stroked his chin, smiling silently. Elder Ren looked slightly embarrassed. "How careless of me. Brother Han let us speak inside." "What? I have always considered Brother Ren to be quite a friendly person," Han Li replied with a broad smile. By now, he had already guessed the reason why this man had gone to such lengths to befriend him. It seemed Ren Bi harbored deep feelings for Bai Yaoyi. With this realization, much of Han Li's earlier wariness toward him faded. Under the guidance of the woman, the two men entered the Pure Focus Pavilion. The first floor was not particularly large, measuring roughly 60 meters across. Inside stood a set of simple bamboo tables and chairs. In the corners of the room, however, several pots of blooming yellow flowers had been placed, their delicate fragrance filling the air. Bai Yaoyi did not immediately descend to meet them. Instead, after the two men had taken their seats, her voice sounded from the upper floor. "Brother Han, please wait for a moment. My cultivation technique is somewhat peculiar. Once I finish circulating it, I will come down immediately to greet you. In the meantime, Brother Han may sample our sect's snow spirit fruit." As soon as she finished speaking, Bai Yaoyi's disciple clapped her hands. Two young white-robed women entered the room, each carrying a vermilion wooden tray upon which rested a small branch laden with thumb-sized translucent berries. After placing the trays upon the table, the two women respectfully withdrew. "The ice spirit fruit is unique to our sect," Ren Bi explained as he saw the fruit. "Even the elders of the inner palace only receive a few each year. Not only are they delicious, but they also contain pure ice spiritual power. If an ice-attributed cultivator consumes them regularly, it can greatly aid their cultivation." As he spoke, Ren Bi casually picked up one of the berries and tossed it into his mouth. Seeing this, Han Li followed suit and ate one as well. The moment he bit into it, a surge of pure glacial qi spread through his mouth. Although Han Li did not cultivate ice-attributed techniques, he possessed peak glacial flames within his body, such as the purple apex flames and the great yin true flames. Because of this, he could easily refine the icy energy contained within the fruit. With a curious expression, he casually picked up another and tossed it into his mouth as well. When Ren Bi saw this, a brief look of shock flashed across his face. The ice spirit fruits were quite famous for their benefits. Even nascent soul cultivators could gain advantages from consuming them. However, cultivators who did not cultivate either ice or fire-attributed techniques would suffer internal frostbite if they recklessly consumed even one. Han Li clearly emitted pure wood-attributed spiritual power, yet he had eaten one fruit without the slightest reaction. Now he had even eaten a second. Even Ren Bi himself, despite cultivating fire-attributed techniques, would not dare consume two in succession so casually. As Ren Bi was silently astonished, the sound of footsteps echoed from the upper floor. A stunning woman in white robes slowly descended the stairs. Han Li narrowed his eyes slightly before immediately rising to his feet with a cheerful smile. "Fairy Bai, it has been over 10 years. I trust you have been well." Ren Bi's face lit up with delight. "Junior Marshal Sister Bai, you finally agreed to see me." Bai Yaoyi smiled warmly toward Han Li. "On the day we parted, I knew that Brother Han would not have arranged a meeting without reason. For the past several years, I have been waiting for your arrival at the sect. Your coming was expected." However, when she turned toward Ren Bi, her expression instantly cooled. "As for you, Senior Marshal Brother Ren, if it were not for Brother Han, I would not have agreed to see you." Ren Bi quickly spoke. "I have already found a way to resolve the problem. I promise I will not disappoint you." Bai Yaoyi shook her head lightly. "We can discuss that matter later. Fellow Taoist Han has come a long way. Let us leave that topic for now." Ren Bi froze momentarily as though something had suddenly occurred to him. Then he smiled. "That is fine. I will find another opportunity to explain it in detail later. For now, I am already delighted that you have agreed to see me." Bai Yaoyi nodded expressionlessly and sat down at the main seat of the table. Han Li and Ren Bi also took their seats again. After examining her for a moment, Han Li smiled. "Fairy Bai, your cultivation has advanced greatly since the last time I saw you." Bai Yaoyi returned the smile. "Brother Han must be joking. My abilities cannot possibly compare to yours." She still vividly remembered Han Li's astonishing displays of power at the Yin-Yang Cave and Kunwu Mountain. Because of this, she treated him with great respect. When Ren Bi heard the tone of respect in her voice toward Han Li, his expression shifted slightly as he once again examined Han Li with surprise. Bai Yaoyi then continued, "Brother Han, since you mentioned that you would visit the North Night Palace, you must have had a purpose in mind." Han Li fell silent for a brief moment, a thoughtful look crossing his face. Then he smiled. "Since you have asked directly, I will speak frankly. Indeed, I came to the North Night Palace because I have a request to make of you. If you loved this story, please consider supporting us through the donation link below. Your support allows us to keep bringing you the best and most immersive video. We truly appreciate you being here with us."